Hello everyone. If you'd like interpretation in Vietnamese, please write the language just before your name so the interpreter knows. Thank you.
now? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Do it this way. Okay, good morning. My name is Ole Brekke, and I'm here in Copenhagen, Denmark. And we have a session here on arts for liberation. It'll be myself. I will be talking a little bit about theater and my experience with neo-humanism and the arts. And I'll be followed by Divyendu Anand from, he's in Delhi. And after that, we'll have a presentation from Taiwanese woman, Inka Mbing. And she will be, her presentation will be a video. So what do we talk about? We talk about arts for liberation. And what do we mean by liberation? Well, P.R. Sarkar, the founder of neo-humanism, wrote one of the introductory books about neo-humanism was Neo-Humanism, Liberation of the Intellect. So when we're talking about arts for liberation, we're talking about liberation on the individual level as well as on the social level. And a lot of the artwork has been done through through liberating different social circumstances, political as well. So what I want to talk about a little bit is popular arts and how the popular arts can contribute to this liberating of the intellect. And by popular arts, what I mean is that the artistic expression that has developed out of people's needs in the population. Now, we have a differentiation between popular arts and the classical arts. The classical arts have, of course, dominated the artistic scene for many, many years. But in the last, the last half century, popular arts have emerged to take take a prominent role. I'd just like to share with you some of the popular arts. Let's see, where are we here? No, the wrong one. Okay. Yeah. Before we get into that, I'd just like to add a couple of more quotes from P.R. Sarkar. A writer or artist who is born to elevate society has to tune his or her artistic creation to the vital stirrings of the common human heart. The artist or writer should be in contact with the changing flow of mental and cultural evolutions that remold the social structure. And as we need to tune into the common human heart with our artistic creations, then in today's world, it's the popular arts can reach more people than the classical arts. Now let me share another screen about what I was going to talk about, the popular arts. Here we have a list of popular art forms that have a very big impact on people today. One of the more recent and very, very popular art forms is games and gaming. And this is another form which can touch a lot of people with the neo-humanist ideas. Storytelling is also coming back into play as a popular art form. Before we had a lot of technological advancements in the last century, then storytelling was a, a means of spreading news and spreading ideas. Another form that is very popular is animations today, film animations. We also have a street dance, which has become a very popular form of expression for people as well. And it's also now starting to get um, more acknowledgement in the larger dance world. Of course, you have graffiti. Now there are graffiti artists have become very, very famous. All of us perhaps have heard about Banksy, for example. Yeah. And then you have another expression of the popular arts with folk music and folk dance. Now these these forms have a way of connecting with people's historical and cultural background, so that they know and recognize those rhythms and those movements from deep inside their consciousness. Another form which is has been around for a long time now, comics. And here I have a little Google translation of what I mean by comics. It's the Taina Siri or bande dessinée, but all of the other languages there too. Then another popular art form today is superheroes. Yeah. The superhero film is very popular. And this is an example of the need today that we have for heroes. Many of the leaders in our societies would not be called heroes by any means. Now, I mentioned also melodrama, and this is something that I'm more more versed in. My experience has been with theater for the last 50 years. And today, melodrama is becoming even more popular as a style. And you'll notice the other theater styles that I mentioned there, melodrama, tragedy, the commedia dell'arte, forum theater. Forum theater is utilized very much by theater companies that want to engage the public in particular issues, and they use theater as a way of doing that. One very good example of that is Shilpi Theater in Nepal. Now, they tour the country and are presenting social issues for the public that they have there. They don't try to offer solutions, but by giving a display of a particular social issue that the audience understands very clearly because of their own experience, then they offer the public to make changes in their own script and their own presentation, and thereby instituting a discussion about these particular issues, which normally are kept hidden in the society. So this is a forum theater. Now, this also points out a very important aspect of the popular theater, and a differentiation between propaganda and theater that can lead towards liberation. Now, there's a differentiation between propaganda and the social truth of the theater. So, for example, the explanation that I just gave about forum theater, they present a social truth to the people. They don't present or impose solutions on it. Now, we've all probably had an experience with some propaganda kind of theater, and it doesn't touch the human heart so much, and it turns off people from the intellectually rather quickly. So it's very important that a theater for liberation and social change has to have a basis in social truth and a generosity and make an inspiration for the people that are seeing it. Now, another use of theater is in education. Theater in education involves using theater. Now, I do a lot of workshops on what we call TIE, theater in education. And the reason for using theater in education that I explain to people is because it becomes a total or a holistic means of teaching. Now, let me share a little bit of what I mean by that. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay, theater in education. So the point of using theater in education is that if you're using that methodology, then one can touch on all different categories of educational objectives in one particular session. Normally, educational objectives in our normal way of experiencing our education is very individualized and very disciplined and divided by different disciplines. So your knowledge would be separated from inquiry and problem solving skills, and definitely separated from your psychomotor skills and physical activities. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with social skills. So, and values would be then kept in a separate box or a separate compartment of the education. Whereas if you're using theater in education, if you wanted to make have the people that you're dealing with, the students, then you can, by using theater, you can touch on all of these aspects at one time, and especially it becomes a cooperative learning exercise. Now, I've been using theater in several other situations. One of them is in social research, actually. So where we use theater to explore different issues and discover in the process different aspects of those issues, as well as discovering solutions to them. For example, I've done a workshop with activists in Brazil on bullying in schools, where they wanted to use theater to explore the phenomena of bullying in schools and move around to different schools presenting their work. Another possibility that I've worked with is a social department here in Denmark that wanted to try to work on the problem of getting parents involved with the education and coming to parents' meetings. So in that process, we found different aspects of the problem and also discovered solutions to it. So the education and for theater and the arts can be used very strongly in many different ways, and certainly with the values of neo-humanism in mind. Now, I just want to finish off by reminding anybody that's dealing with using theater for change to guard against the sense of being presenting propaganda, and stay with the social truth. I described it in the introduction to this particular session, a show that I recently directed in Turkey. So if you want to refer back to that a little bit more as well. We'll have time for questions at the end of the presentations. And right now, though, I would like to be able to turn it over to Divyendu Anand, and he will give his section of the presentation. Thank you, Divyendu. It's up to you.
Hello, namaskar. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Thank you, Breck. That was a wonderful presentation. Got to know so much from you. So now coming to my presentation. Before I start my presentation, I'd like to thank Dada and the New Humanistic Education team for giving me this opportunity to do a presentation of my works. So now coming to the presentation, my presentation is about art for service and blessedness. This is the same thing that you had said, basically art for liberation. So it's just an exact word by Sri P.R. Sarkar, the founder of New Humanism. So let me start my presentation. Before, basically the question is like, why do we need art for service and blessedness? Because I mean, art has been practiced basically as just a medium of expression or for maybe other purposes. But why do we need art for service and blessedness in the current times? So for that, we need to look at the current crisis, what exactly the crisis is. So we'll just go through it very quickly. This is just for my understanding. I thought that it's very important to understand the crisis and how does it lead towards a new humanistic solution. So, I mean, everyone is aware about the impending crisis in the contemporary world today. So there is not a single aspect of human life which has been untouched by the crisis. So, so let's go to the next slide. So when we analyze the, I mean, the crises are so many that it's overwhelming. Like, how do we solve that problem? And what I have seen is that despite of so many people working in the realm of social work, like and giving services to humanity, the problem is not getting solved. It's like increasing day by day. So we need to really analyze what exactly the problem is so that we can actually hit at the root cause and provide the solution. So this is where I have, this is my analysis of the problem. So what is happening is that there is too much of focus on the mundane world, that is the carbonic pabula. So which is leading to creation of more and more negative microvita. So due to that, there is a crudification of mind happening, and which unleashes vicious circle of exploitation. So as a solution, basically as a synthesis, process of synthesis, what we need to do is that we need to focus more on the carbonic pabula to create balance, to create more positive microvita. And and we need to elevate the collective consciousness and fight against all form of exploitation and imperialism. So now there are various approaches towards the solution, humanistic solution, and my topic, of course, is art and aesthetics. Shri P.R. Sarkar, in his words, he says that artistic endeavor may only be justified if it results in the all-round development of society. So he further says that if the artist propels the social movement in a particular direction, denying all the other aspects of society, we cannot call it literature because there is no real sentiment of benevolence. So to build a humanistic society, there must be a restraint and rationality in the artistic expression. So what do we do? So what we realize is that we need to create a very powerful new humanistic brand. So this is what we have done basically. This is like Studio Renaissance. It's a non-profit initiative. Just a second. It's founded in 2017. Studio Renaissance is a non-profit initiative with the aim to restore art to its true role as a dynamo of public welfare. So now, if you look at the vision and mission, the vision is neo-Renaissance artistic movement where artists work collectively for the welfare of humanity. And our mission is to make the inner and outer worlds beautiful and bestow joy to all. So here are the aims and objectives. It's a lot of work, basically. I mean, the vision is huge, so there's so much. So, but just briefly, we have like jotted down a few of the things, which is like, I don't think we need to go through this, like, because the other slides will have all these things being explained. So what Shri P.R. Sarkar has said is that beyond the world of mystiques and the world of aesthetics are for human beings. So what really we need to do is that we need to expose human beings to the world of mysticism and aesthetics. So these are his words. These are like very powerful words to me. That's why I have like put them here. But since time is of the essence, so I'm not really going through them. I'll just touch upon these points, which is that what he is saying is that people with developed intellects have been able to realize that the domain of their intelligence is gradually expanding. They ought to have taken it as their foremost duty to refine this aesthetic science, and by the untiring and impartial cultivation of knowledge, to create further avenues for its expression. This aesthetic science uplifts humanity from the dust of this worldly abode to taste and feel the subtler world. So therefore, we need to make effort to develop the aesthetic science. So art as a source for mysticism and transcendence. So this is the first thing that we started working on, like when we founded Studio Renaissance. So what we are doing exactly is we are experimenting with the science of aesthetics to establish the link between mundane and transcendental in the realm of ideas as well as forms. So this is like me working in the studio. So what Shri P.R. Sarkar says is that when artists devote themselves to the task of establishing the link between finite and infinite, between the mundane and the transcendental, this very awareness, not purely transcendental, bears the very highest importance in the realm of art. So this is exactly what we are doing. So he further says that the ideal of the artist is to be established in the transcendental realm. So in the current world, what we are seeing is that art has primarily become commercial. So for Shri P.R. Sarkar, the artist has to be a spiritual aspirant. He needs to seek transcendence. So he further says that greater the artist's understanding of the kinship with God, the greater their art. So again, very powerful words of Shri P.R. Sarkar. Now this is the sculpture. So just to explain like what exactly is establishing the link between finite and infinite. Generally what happens is that very few people like connect with the abstract art, something that is transcendental. So what we are doing is that we are taking a known form, something that is mundane. So here we have taken a shell, and we are connecting it to, we are establishing the link to the transcendental or infinite. So you can see there is a beautiful like blend of finite and infinite, how both the forms are working together. So this is like, these are like the works that we have done in our studio in past 2-3 years. So this is the first work that we did of where we experimented with the science of aesthetics. But again, like, we went like really towards the outer dimension of the body. So it came out to be very interesting work, but it did not really hit the point. Basically, it did not really lead to what we have been wanting to, like to go towards the transcendental, to touch the infinite. So this is the backside of this form. It's very interesting again, but again, like, it was not really a very successful art. But it really leads to a very interesting awareness that this work, that the expressed universe is nothing but the combination of different types of waves. So the work is actually expressing that feeling. So that is very interesting. So these are the few of the works basically that we have done in the process of understanding the concept of infinite, the concept of abstract in terms of form as well as idea. So, and this particular piece is with the largest private museum of India, Kiran Nadar. This is again part of our quest, part of our search for infinite. This is all experimenting with science of aesthetics. So you can see that all these works are turning out to be very mystical. This is mystical dancer, is basically the state of my mind. Like, I just like quickly sculpted this state. Transmuted leaves. This idea was basically about like establishing the link between finite and infinite in the realm of ideas. Basically, that the crisis today is about the identity, right? Like, we all are looking for a much bigger identity. So this was a very interesting sculpture that like which turned out, and it did very well in the commercial market as well. Like, people really like it. So this is again experimenting with forms, like picking up forms from nature and try to get the abstract and the transcendence within it. So moving on, this is conch shell. This is the space rock. Again, you can see that it gets that very abstract, transcendental feeling through the forms. This is the exploration of shell. Now, so the presentation, the works that we showed was basically about establishing the link between finite and infinite. Basically, that is art for self-liberation and for the liberation of the viewer as well. But this, the next presentation that we're going to do, the next slides we're going to show is art for social awakening. So basically, it's about fighting against dogmas and superstition that is holding the humanity's progress. So what Shri P.R. Sarkar says is that the artists or writers, before holding their pen, have to look around and assess the direction in which the society is moving. So what is important here is that we should not just express anything. We have to like really look around and express with meaning and benevolence. So he says that the artist or literature who assumes the responsibility of leading humanity to the path of light from the caverns of darkness will have to heed the road signs of that path. So this is very important. to create the new humanistic society. But the challenge here is that the artists need a lot of help and guidance here. This is the commentary on the casteism, like where we had shown monkeys basically as belonging to different castes. So it's a kind of satire. This is like basically making expressing the nationalistic and religion sentiment, which is causing bloodshed on the earth. And then as the solution, we have provided that we need a world with one flag, basically one world, one nation. So this is again expressing the whole bondage, basically, like, which we are born with, basically the bondage of nationalism or religion. So this is again, this was like very fun. Basically, this we wanted to present. This is like commentary on the pollution that we are facing in Delhi. So what we did was that we took Krishna, basically, because he was like here in this part of India only, like in the Prastha. So we presented him wearing mask. I don't know how much impact it had, basically, but it was just for fun we did. So this is like Trump, basically. I know, like, it is like quite a contrasting image of what Trump is, but we have to understand that the role of artists is also to create a benevolent image, basically, benevolent future, basically. So this is how the ideal leadership should be. They have to be meditative. So that is the whole idea here. And this got like really popular, like a lot of people liked it. Now, this is reinterpretation of Mahabharata. So, I mean, this is actually presenting the truth, basically, the essence of Mahabharata, that that everyone who's like, because this whole play was of Krishna. So as you can see the image here, it is not the different character. It's the same Krishna, basically, who's he's killing and he's getting killed. So this was again like very, very interesting and very powerful expression. This is like about neo-humanism, this concept. It's a conceptual art. So it is about liberation of intellect. So you can see that the wings are metaphor of liberation of mind, basically. So that's why we have attached wings to the mind. And the universe is basically a symbol of the liberation, basically. So it's like breaking the boundaries and like getting liberated. So this is like one of the very first painting, basically, that I did 10, 15 years back when I set on this journey of doing something for art and neo-humanism. So this is the concept of neo-human, basically. This is the second painting that I did, basically. Again, like I titled it The Liberation of Intellect. So you can see on the wall that there are all these narrow sentiments, which is a bondage, basically, which is an obstacle to the liberation of the world, basically, or to the world peace. So that is the second category for which we are using art for public welfare. The third is art for cultural enlightenment. So what we did was that we started working with the history of Shiva, because Shiva's contribution is so immense in the human civilization that we realize that it is important for people to know about Shiva. So this is Tandava, like, this is Lalit Marmik, Parvati, who propounded this Lalit Marmik dance. And this is the close-up. I mean, look at the beautiful expression. This is Bharat Muni. Bharat Muni was supposedly the first disciple of Lord Shiva, who, based on whom the Bharatnatyam dance basically came into being. This is Lord Shiva as Nath Tanu. So another aspect that we touched upon in the expression of art is science and so basically it's about knowledge, because Shri P.R. Sarkar has said that the cultivation of knowledge with the aesthetic science, so that we can refine the expression more and more. So this basically is the presentation or rendition of the esoteric concept of cosmic entity, Shiva and Shakti, consciousness and Prakriti. So basically the whole idea, see, the thing is there is a very traditional representation of this as Ardhanarishwar, but we thought that perhaps we need to do a very universal imagery or rendition of this concept so that it can reach to more and more people. This is like who really Buddha was. There has been a lot of rendition of Buddha. Several artists have done rendition of Buddha, but like what we did was that Buddha was like, which is like that what he was, what he realized was the truth which is within. So the whole concept of the truth as an inner journey. So it was a very interesting form that we created, and this is a video like which we created of the same Buddha. So this is basically about understanding the forces of the universe. So if you look at the flowers, I mean, what really like intrigued me was the spiral nature of all the flowers that I was seeing. So I realized that there is this whole centrifugal force acting on the flower, but the centripetal force is not visible. It's invisible. So I try to depict that through this sculpture. So on the front side, you can see that there's this beautiful form of flower, hibiscus, and on the back side, it's like all merging into the point, basically, the nucleus. So so that is the work we have done like in past 3 years. Now, as a non-profit initiative, as a foundation, what we are doing is that we are supporting artists through various projects right now because we have dearth of funds. Otherwise, of course, we want to give out grants and give residency facilities as well, which will perhaps happen in future. So so far we have around 15 artists and craftsmen who have directly worked with Studio Renaissance in creating neo-humanistic works. So these are the images from our studio and artists and craftsmen working, painters. So our current studio facility has a footprint of 900 square meters, where we have studio for sculpting and painting. We have workshop for production of sculptures, and we have gallery for display. So this is like our studio, which has a nice, like, huge green space. This is our studio, painting studio. This is like we have set up our photography studio as well. So so the roadmap to the future, basically, like it's all about, I mean, I generally always dream a lot, basically, about the vision of neo-humanism and art for public welfare. So so this is basically like what we plan to do in future. So as I said before also, that we plan to have residency facility for artists so that we can actually imbibe the neo-humanistic values in them and use their skills for the welfare of humanity. Then we also plan to have studio facility for all the genre of art so that we can support artists. And then we want to also have like publication house or writers cooperative. Journalism, because journalism is so much corrupt now, like there's no ideal journalism left. So we need to use journalism as a tool for social awakening. Art curriculum, what I'm seeing is after interacting with the artists and students is that the curriculum has to be recreated because it is not really catering to the neo-humanistic vision, basically, that we want to create. And then through the use of multimedia and various art forms, propagation of neo-ethics. This is our website, which we have created for Studio Renaissance. It's a beautiful website. You can log onto it after this once you have a moment. This is our campaign. So like basically we have planned lot of things. I mean, there's so much happening. Like then there is a knowledge center. We wanted to disseminate knowledge also through our platform. So this is our website link. So apart from Studio Renaissance, so these are our neo-humanistic brands. We spoke about Studio Renaissance, which is a non-profit initiative. Then just before that, let me just like speak a little bit about NeoHum also. Just before that, we actually created NeoHum, which is actually nothing but it is representing the neo-human, like somebody who is a neo-human who follows neo-humanism. So we started working on this, but we were like primarily working on on campaigns and various, yeah. So you can look at these very interesting. So this basically video we made while launching this NeoHum brand. So again, like communicating the idea about togetherness, about we, not about me. So this basically is very interesting clip we created. Like Barrick was talking about the popular art, like and one of them being the comic heroes, superheroes. So we also had actually planned something like this, and this is very interesting to see. So that was our another brand, basically NeoHum. And then basically since past 1.5 years, even I have started creating my own collection to support our Studio Renaissance. And this is our another, you can call it as a neo-humanistic brand. And this is a very short video of my work. So as you had seen in the video, like the whole idea about creating the art is to give the taste of transcendence. So in the words of Pierre Sarkar, it is my firm conviction that the future of humanity is not dark. Every human being will reach that inextinguishable frame that is forever a light beyond the veil of darkness. the present and attain it, they must. So, and those who carry the message of that effulgent light will be forever revered by all humanity. I see in the literature and artists of today the potentiality to become such memorable and venerable people, and that is why I hold them in great regards. So with that words, I wanted to basically take you through a beautiful poem by Satyendranath. Oops, sorry, like it's so small, the font, it's illegible, but don't worry, we have something better to show you, a video. So with that, I'll end my presentation. Thank you, namaskar.
Thank you, Divyendu. It's very inspiring. I would like someday to add the performing arts to your studios. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm especially inspired by the generosity, and what I was talking about before is that social truth that is so important in all of the works of the arts. Now we will go to Taiwan, where we have a video of Inka Mbing and her work in the region, the isolated regions in Taiwan. And then after that, we'll have a few minutes for anybody that might have some questions or comments that would like to make on the presentations. Thank you. I'll turn it over now to the host who will put on the video.
Inka Mbing is a member of the Atayal ethnic group of Taiwan. In her youth, she left her tribal land to make a living as a professional singer with a female rock band in Taipei. Later in life, aroused by the ancient songs of her ancestors, Inka started on the journey to discover her heritage. Through teaching the Atayal children their native tongue, joining the struggle to protect Atayal land from toxic commercial agriculture, and engaging in the movement to return to regenerative agriculture, Inka reconnects with her ancestral roots. Her songs give voice to the heart and soul of an oppressed people struggling to rediscover their identity and to fight for a rightful place in the universal community. The practice of yoga meditation and asanas enables Inka to overcome the negative emotions often aroused by this struggle, thus generating a wellspring of love and peace, like the lotus flower pushing up through the mud to reach the sun. Inka told us that things were very different when she was small. Growing up, there was a very strong sense of community in her village. When it was time for one family to clear their land for planting, other families came to help. When it was harvest time for one family, others came to help. Even mothering was shared. Should one mother run dry of breast milk, there were always other mothers to stand in for her. Said Inka, that's how I grew up, with so many mamas to whom I could go to for breast milk. Perhaps this is why mothering comes so naturally to me now. With the village children, with the whole community, my maternal instinct is so strong. And so, playing with the children, teaching the children, interacting with the children, all this is second nature to Inka.
还有笑声，还有叶子跟叶子的还有叶子。
喔喔，很呀，我们再加一个喔喔，我们把旁边的可以吗？喔喔，我爱爸爸呢，嘎嘎，金罗嘎。Loka naraya Chujisan Bajisan La Hoi Ro Roma 拉鲁鼠，我蛋什么？
我刚刚
你爸爸叫什么？
名字，
哈？
还要讲我爸爸名字。
爸爸叫什么？
我爸爸名字我不知道。
妈妈呢？
妈妈我也不知道。
大爷的名字都不知道？
我只知道我的。
你没有哈？没有啊？你中文名字叫什么？
杨晓
啊？
李轩。
第一次问他们，你们的台语名字是谁？有没有在班上大概30几个？我说有台语的名字举手，大概只有5个。然后这5个里面，我还问他说：“那你说你叫什么名字？”他说：“你不要，很丢脸呢，不好听的，不要这样。”在部落你看到那个小孩子，你问他说你叫什么名字，他会说中文才真正是他的名字。
Lalu Yukan Payen。哦，给树米妹，我不会讲啊。
乙妹啊，
我
叫
不好妈的，他妈妈叫乙妹。
打雁好像当别人当了好几代，做一个歌吧。
Hãy subscribe cho kênh Ghiền Mì Gõ để không bỏ lỡ
我来这里目的也是说，啊，我们那个等于说我们的宝，我们的算是我们打雁的灵魂的家好了，还在这里，然后再看看这里的小孩子的发展怎么样。那个石头是我们最好的条件，可以再继续再这样发展。没有想到我们那个核心的那个资产啊，也被这样卖走，我们还有什么？整片的山被浪砍，种花椰菜啊，种生姜。
我是来赚钱的了，因为我不知道你们麻烦
我们大家都生活在这个部落，部落的土地、部落的水，部落的树木、部落的树林，哪怕是野草，都是不可以被滥垦滥伐。我觉得这个是最起码的这个居住正义跟土地正义，这一点我们要守住。土地是母亲，土地是母亲，不能被践踏，不能被践踏。保护家园，保护家园，抗议污染，抗议污染。有很多种，一个水源，一个是土质，我觉得这个非常重要，这是我们的诉求。
Inka said, "One day, the children came to me and said, 'Teacher, what we are drinking is AC water.' It was a pun on the word AC. AC means can kill you. It also means wild mountain stream." Inka was surprised that even the young children understood and could play with words with such sarcasm.
Lingan kwa ara hala huymen min ka hulke qona ani qumyen min ka hulke kwara uji suuna amen.
Inka visits Pinskan, the village located around the Atayal origin rock. Inka reminds the children that the land they are on is the sacred ancestral land of the Atayal people. The soil you step on every day is the sacred land of our Atayal people, she said. What is the land telling us? Sitting with the children in a circle, everyone closes their eyes as Inka sings a traditional song about the origins of the Atayal tribe. The haunting tune goes deep into their very being.
就很像是很想保护这个土地一样。
你如果想保护这块土地的话，你会想怎么样去保护这块土地？雅布北树说，他要保护土地的方式是少开车嘛，多种树。哦。
这只是知道这里是个祖先居住过的地方，不要破坏这里。
Brother Ta Shao used to be a drunk. Then he started to learn how to make the Atayal native harmonica. The activity completely absorbed him. He started to spend all his free time making the Atayal harmonica. In this way, he gave up drinking completely and started a new life. Ta Shao's family had a piece of land. During his drunken years, as his body drowned in alcohol, his land declined correspondingly due to neglect. But when Ta Shao returned to farming the land and reconnecting with his land, a wonderful thing happened. With the revival of the man came the revival of the land. Inca tells us that the original meaning of the word Lahui is forest. It also means the people. She said, perhaps for our ancestors who created our language, the forest, with its myriad trees, reflect the multitude of people all gathered together. The forest represents nature, life, and the people also represent life. And so, Lahui means the forest and also the people. Our forests and our people, their lives are inextricably tied together. When the land is weak, the people are also weak. When we go back to healthy organic farming, when we nurture a diversity of plants, the land is reborn and the people are also reborn. Ta Shao tells us that he has planted 20 to 30 different types of plants on his land. This is because the meaning of Lahui is a forest, a diversity of plants, all living harmoniously together. When there is room for everyone, when everyone has a role to play in society, when everyone lives together harmoniously, then we will truly represent Lahui.
田的意思，中文翻的是因为那很多梯田。其实真正的，我们说我们的部落是 "lak" 的意思，就是土里面的泥泞。也许吧，我们那个人都太聪明，都很多会彼此计较、嫉妒、憎恨，就是人跟人的关系会这么。也许那是一个人成长的过程，都会有这种过程。可是我们一直在沉溺于那样子的大家互相斗争的那个太久了。我希望说，有一天我们在这个泥泞里面长出一朵出污泥而不染的莲花。
As an artist, my activism is expressed mainly through the medium of the arts, especially through performing our traditional songs. Our ancestral songs are centuries old. They are backed by a force that is thousands of years old. They have the power to touch people deeply. That is why our musical collective focus on the traditional tunes of the indigenous peoples. The impact of these performances was very powerful, very positive, very infectious. After that, everybody realized the power of the arts. It was no longer art for art's sake. Everybody started to use the stage as a tool in the struggle for justice. But off stage, real life could be something else. That's the problem. And so I found that I had to make my own path. I continue to work with the children. I'm often invited to different Atayal villages to perform or have a meeting. At each village, I make sure I get a session to interact with the children, during which we explore different aspects of being Atayal, and then we compose an Atayal song together. For me, this is a much more concrete, touching, and impactful way of working, and also much more satisfactory. For myself, I have set up my own place where I receive an endless stream of spiritual energy. In the morning, I go out for a walk in the mountains. As I return, I hear my guru's voice singing. In front of me, bright effervescent light. My heart is pounding as I keep moving forward into that bright effervescent light. This has happened to me again and again, and this is what keeps me moving forward. My spiritual practice keeps me balanced. It enables me to meet challenges with a positive approach, coming from love for all the diversity we meet in life.
We have a few minutes now. Thank you for that wonderful video. And I want to thank Kalyani Chu, who was instrumental in getting that prepared and sent to us. Now we have a few minutes for anyone that might have questions directly to Divyendu or myself. Or Divyendu, do you have any further comments that you would like to make?
There were a few questions in the chat before.
Let's see. There are several comments in the chat, but I don't see any questions directly. I would like to make just a few comments on Divyendu's wonderful presentation, especially his touching on the benevolence necessary of the arts. Yeah, it corresponds very well to what I was saying about the need for that social truth. But then you take it even farther than that, getting into the actual liberation of the individual consciousness, which I find very impressive to be able to do that within the artistic expression. Thank you.
One question was for Divyendu, before which I remember, I cannot quote exactly, but is your studio related to Rava and Renaissance artists, or is it something of privately owned?
Very good question. Well, it is actually, you can say, it's Rava only, I would say, because our vision is purely based on the Rava. So it is just that we have created a different branding basically to reach out to the public. Did you get? Did you understand what I said?
Yeah.
Like,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
One more comment that I would make on the presentation so far is that for all three of the presenters, all of us have come from different backgrounds to get into the arts, but all for the similar reason, is that we found something missing in the profession that we were in before. And for myself, I was a professional sailor and an officer on ships. And I found that, especially in the circumstances, I was sailing ships to Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And that turned me very much against the exploitation and the aspects of capitalism that drove us to such destruction. So in my journey from there and to the spirituality, I realized that many of the words that were being spoken at that particular time were lies or deceptions or hiding behind the truth. And that led me to becoming a mime artist and keeping my mouth shut and see if I could do something different. And then I got into the art of comedy and realized that if we could get people laughing together, they wouldn't be fighting. They couldn't possibly be fighting with each other. And that took me to a meeting with my partner for many years, Carlo Mazzoni Clementi, who came from the Second World War experience as a soldier in the Italian army. And he said the same thing, I've got to get people laughing together. So that led us to start the Commedia School in Copenhagen. And we are dedicated to the art of comedy. And the laughter is a good way of confronting dogmas, because dogmatic or the propaganda spewers can't handle laughter very well, as we can see recently in our history, as you put Diviendo, you put up Trump doing meditation. Yes. So laughter, and now this also leads to a lot of suppression. And a good example of that is Dario Fo, a Nobel Literature Prize winner, who, because of his finger in the eye of the authorities in Italy, he was censored from television and subjected to a lot of suppression. So yes, so comedy has also led to the death of many comedians around the world in different struggles. Let's see, I think we are now close to the end of time, but if anybody has any questions or comments, please open your sound and share it with us. Sorry, thank you. I would like to say thank you to Diviendo once again.
Thank you, Barry.
And thank you to Kalyani Chu for arranging the video. Thank you to Chaitanya, who's been hosting this event in the background. And namaskar to you all. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, everyone. We will have a 10 minutes break before the next session.